everyone, welcome back to Cars and Zebras. Today I have another featured drag race, so I sure hope that you enjoy it. If you find the video entertaining, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel because I do post these videos regularly, and also make sure to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. I do appreciate you watching, so without further ado, let's get to our featured drag race. Our first car is a 1969 AMC SC Rambler, or some people actually just call it the Scrambler for short. You get it, you guys? It's a little play on words. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but the SC stood for supercar. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I absolutely love this car. It is fantastic. You got AMC, and they say to themselves, you know what? We're gonna dive a little deeper into this whole muscle car race, but we're gonna build a car that is very affordable, but just kicks some serious ass. So then, obviously, the platform that they go to build this car is the Rambler? Yes, the Rambler! It's the perfect car for this. It's lightweight. You can easily stuff in a V8, and then you give it a signature, absolutely screaming awesome paint job. Now take a second and salute this car because it's as American as bald eagles, obesity, and the Grand Canyon. What a fantastic car. So now let's talk about some of the details. Sitting up front is a 390 cubic inch engine, very conservatively rated at 315 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and 425 pound-feet of torque at 3,200 RPM. Now at the dealer you could get that built up quite a bit using Group 19 parts, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, but most of these cars, 390 cubic inch, 315 horsepower, had 10.2 to 1 compression and a Carter 4-barrel carburetor. There were 3 transmission options available that year, a 4-speed manual, a 4 on the floor, and a manual 4-speed. Now but seriously you guys, all you could get was the T10 Borg-Warner 4-speed manual with a Hurst shifter. But what a killer combination. Why would you need any other options? Smoke in the rear tires is a limited slip rear end with 354 gears. This one features 410 gears, which you could get through Group 19 parts. These cars were very lightweight. Curb weight was only 3,160 pounds. And as I previously mentioned, the 1969 AMC SC Rambler was a screaming deal. That year you could get the base 2-door sedan Rambler, $2,400. For a few $100s more, you could get one of these bad boys. It was only $2,998. It wasn't $3,000, it was $2 cheaper. Which, accounting for inflation, would be just below $21,000 today. And as I said, that was a great deal, because not only did this car have a great engine and a great transmission, you also got heavy-duty shocks, heavy-duty brakes with front discs, an anti-sway bar, and you also got anti-hop rear links. And to top it all off, that signature sound. It came with straight-through glass pack mufflers from the factory. They didn't make too many of these cars. AMC originally planned only 500, but because they sold quicker than they had anticipated, they made a few more. In total, just over 1,500. Now some people don't realize you could get this car in 2 different paint schemes. This one is paint scheme A, or you could get paint scheme B, which was a little bit more conservative. So do you want America, or do you want more America? I vote for more America! Yeah! And this car was no slouch. In 1969, Car and Driver tested it and got the quarter mile in 14.3 seconds at 99 miles per hour. However, that was done in the middle of the winter and they had just cleared the track of snow. So probably not the most accurate. 0 to 60 times varied greatly according to the testing. Some people said the low 5-second range, but others said as high as 6.3 seconds. If you guys remember earlier, I had mentioned that some of these cars at the dealership could be optioned with Group 19 parts. And that could include a special carburetor, intake manifold, camshaft, rocker arms, headers, dual point ignition, and 410 gears. You could even go all the way up to a 444 gear, and of course, they would even throw wider tires on there for you. Now those Group 19 cars were tested and they were well known for running a 13 flat in the quarter mile. And at a recent Detroit Dragway, there was even one that ran a 1254. So these cars can definitely move. Like I mentioned earlier, they didn't make that many of these cars, around 1,500, and it's difficult to determine how many had the A paint scheme and how many had the B paint scheme because a lot of them came with the same code. It's estimated that the A scheme was more common, at least 1,000 of those, and the B paint scheme they said could be anywhere from 324 up to 500 or so. And with that, I am happy to report that hell yeah, the majority of people preferred the in-your-face American paint scheme! With that rarity comes a rather high price tag. For good examples, you're looking at $40,000 to $50,000, but for great examples, you can even see the low $60,000 range, which I can't really blame people. These things are just so unique and cool. You definitely stand out with them. They're great runners, and of course, that's going to come with a decent price tag. But enough talk about the SC Rambler. Let's move on to its opponent. This is a 1969 Dodge Super Bee, but not just any Super Bee. This one features the A12 package, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail later in the video. But 1969 was a great year for the Super Bee. You could get the 383, which was a great engine. Of course, you could get the 426 Hemi, and then sandwiched right in the middle was the 440. And I don't know if saying sandwiched in the middle is fair to the 440. It nearly matched the performance of the Hemi, especially when in the A12 package. Because in that A12 package, you didn't just get the regular old 440 with the 4-barrel and 375 horsepower like the previous Coronet RT. You got a little bit extra. You got 390 horsepower at 4,700 RPM and 490 pound-feet of torque at 3,200 RPM. And if that amount of torque doesn't give you a little bit of tingling in your pants, then I don't know what will.
You jerk off? Do I jerk off?
But the 440 in the A12 that year had 10.5 to 1 compression, which was actually higher than the Hemi, which had 10.25 to 1 compression. And that little bit of power bump came from better carburation. And I think most of you guys know this, but it featured 3 Holley 2-barrel carburetors sitting atop an Edelbrock high-rise aluminum intake. So for those of you that are a little deficient in math, we're talking 6 delicious barrels of carburation.
I jerk off at least twice a day. Wow. Once in the morning, right after I work out, and then once right after lunch. Really?
And then you might be asking, well, Cars and Zebras, what good does 6 barrels do if it can't flow some air? Oh, you want to talk about some airflow? You want to talk about some airflow, brah? You guys, I can't make this up. You drop the hammer on this car, and you open up all 6 of those absolutely gorgeous, succulent barrels. You could suck in air at a rate of 1,350 CFM. Think about that for a minute. Right from the factory, 6 barrels, 1,350 CFM. That is absolutely crazy.
You gotta feed the geese to keep the blood flowing. Or keep the rhythm below the belt. Done.
As far as transmissions go, of course you could get the tried and true TorqueFlite automatic, but this car features the 4-speed manual. And it just so happens that year in the A12, they came standard with a Hurst shifter and also Hurst linkage. And the rear tires, you know what, they just don't stand a chance. All these cars came with 410 gears standard, no matter if it was an automatic or a manual, and that was all housed in a Dana 60 rear end. Now the Super Bee wasn't the lightest vehicle around. Curb weight was about 3,700 pounds, and the price was okay. The Super Bee started at $3,138, but if you wanted the A12, you had to add another $463. That puts you in at just over $3,600, which adjusting for inflation would be about $25,000 today. And if you're the type that gets your rocks off over math, well, that would be about 20% more than our AMC SC Rambler. But I will say that the A12 with the 440 was still about $500 cheaper than a Super Bee with a Hemi. Production of these cars wasn't overly extraordinary. They made about 1,500 two-door coupes and just over 400 two-door hardtops. Original testing on these cars varied quite a bit. Some stated the 0-60 as low as 5.1 seconds, but others said as high as 6.3 seconds. The quarter mile seems to be a little bit more consistent. Most people saw a time of 13.6 to 13.8 seconds at around 104 miles per hour. Now, hopefully if you bought this car, you weren't expecting good gas mileage because they were rated between 7 and 8 miles per gallon. Now, some other really cool facts about the A12 cars. They came with Magnafluxed connecting rods, heavy-duty valve springs, a heavy-duty radiator, and of course, the absolutely awesome lift-off fiberglass hood. But hopefully you were not expecting disc brakes, air conditioning, or cruise control because those were not allowed on the six-pack cars. So I want you to really take a second and think about that. You have a car like this that weighs over 3,700 pounds, 390 horsepower, runs the quarter mile in the 13-second range, and the only option you have to stop it are drum brakes. As you would expect, the prices of Super Bees continues to rise. An average car would be in the mid $30,000 range, but that is one equipped with a 383. If you can even find a car in decent shape that is an A12, you're talking at least $50,000 to $60,000. But for great examples, they are now beginning to hit close to the six-figure range. And then, of course, if you could even find one with a Hemi, who knows what the price is going to be for that. It'd be a lot, like freaking Leo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street sort of money.
Keep it up for me.
Jim Bowman in the right lane got this A12 Super Bee 446 pack. He's from Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob Wick from Manhattan, Illinois has this Rambler Scrambler from 1969. 390 engine, 315 horsepower.
Yeah.
And the winner of this one is the Super Bee. $13.23 or 106 miles per hour. Rambler Scrambler, $13.24. Paul Aragona from Rochester. I'm guessing this is Michigan, not New York.
This might be a quarter mile. This don't look like a quarter mile.
586 area code. I don't know. Rochester.
Huh?
This is the wrong pair. Super Bee going against the Rambler Scrambler. The Rambler, red lights, Jimmy Bowman wins. With a 1324 at 106 miles per hour.
Again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future drag race videos. And of course, I'll see you at the next one.